So the thing is that whether it's new media, whether it's a series of things, we have to get better. I mean, and I think that was one of the things that was amazing about the Black Panther Party, aside from the sort of revolutionary ideological consistency, aside from the sort of strength of the organizing and depth, there was a sense of political theater, right? How do we organize and how do we protest in a way that creates a spectacle that people have to see? People have to take notice, and it dramatizes the issue that we're facing. And I think all the activism that's going on around, there's lots of activism going on around prison issues and mass incarceration. And I think the bulk of Black folks, you know, that's why we're for universal health care, right? We understand that it's not just about us. It's about you know, me and my neighbor, and our fates are linked together, to use a term both in political science, but I think one that transcends that. So I think if Black people understand that, right? There's a sort of fundamental understanding that we go nowhere alone, right? We're not going to do it all by ourselves. But the issue is that we've lost our ability. We haven't gotten good at using the public sphere in a way to bring attention to all of the things that we're doing and all the organizing we're doing. And we're too busy talking about whether the kids are wearing baggy pants or not. I just can't. I can't figure out, like, it's a style choice. I don't get it. But the point is that we have to highlight our activism, and we have to learn how to create spectacle and use new media and get information and get messages out and begin to get a political message out. Otherwise, we cede that ground to a bunch of far-right reactionary lunatics.
And I now figured out how I know who's first. It's at least the person with the microphone. After that, I figured it out. Go ahead. That means you must have your hand up first.
Okay, I'm going to start this off with just a bit of a comment, because I think we need to take some care in not assuming that the absence of what I would call a mass movement is the absence of activism. I see activism all around me. This symposium, it seems to me, is a form of activism in its capacity to raise consciousness about issues. The symposium that was held by the center 2 weeks ago on incarceration was a form of activism. And it seems to me there's been no period in history where a mass movement has been driven by a uniform ideology. Okay? It's a mass movement seemed to me to grow out of a confluence where people really make those connections at a crossroads and then go forward. Now that is not what, we have not had that, okay? We had something really concrete to react against. Now we have activism, as Mark was describing it in his opening remarks, we have it all in so many different sectors. My office is, you know, at least 2 or 3 times a week. There are a group of students who come with a proposal about what they want to change for minorities on this campus, what they want to change for Black people on this campus. They need some money to do this, they need some money to do that. Well, you can see their commitment to activism, but they're not going to change the world with the particular activity that they're proposing. They know that. But the impulse to activism is so powerful in so many of our students that, you know, it just seems to me, boy, if I had unlimited resources, it would be in their hands, even sometimes, though I don't think that the particular activity might merit the investment. It is the ideas they have, their willingness to put the work behind it, to move forward, even in a small context. And if the time comes when that confluence occurs again, you have a lot of troops.
And I have a gentleman, he was trying to ask a question at the end of the last session, so he should definitely get some.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Kimberly. If I may say, Kimberly's show name is Kim. Kim in Korean is a golden. You are really golden lady.
It's a very special name.
Okay. Ever since I came to United States in summertime, the white American tell me, you look like a black man. You speak strange, you know. And I said, oh, thank you. It's nice to meet you. And they're puzzled, you know. Why are you saying that? Then I tell them I make a short story. I was a Buddhist when I was a child. In Buddhism, they believe you lived before you came to this earth. You live here, and the next you die when you go to next world, and there's a reincarnation. Now, if you walk on a street, meet someone, you don't speak a word, look at each other, pass by, that means that you met that person before you came to this earth. And when you die, the next world, you meet that person. So that's a Buddhism story. So the people you meet just passing by, you're sitting in this room together, it's not a chance out of billions and billions of people. It's a miracle. It's arranged by some fate, whatever. It's a miracle. So you have to nice to everybody you meet. This is a special. How can you be billions of people you meet together? You know. So what I'm saying is, I get offended when the reason I look dark in summertime. My skin look darker than some black people, because when I was a baby, my parents thought sun is good for my hair, so they put it on the sunshine. You know. I never had a skin cancer. But anyway, and elementary, middle school, I lived by the river, thinking sun is good for my hair. I never had a skin cancer. But anyway, so when they told me you look black, I say, thank you, it's nice to meet you, and I tell them story, and they understand, you know. So that's what we should do. Regardless of who we are, skin different, whatever, you should be nice to the people. Right. Expecting we'll meet them again. Then this world will be a peaceful world.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right here, and then.
Thank you. I appreciate the panel and the discussion on activism. I co-wrote the chapter on Charlotta Bass and Karen Bass. And actually, I want to clarify that it was not really about those two women. And in fact, the point and message of the chapter was that individualized leadership, as you all have pointed out, is really going to lead us in a very limited fashion to very limited goals and very limited freedoms. And that collective leadership was something that both of them came out of and displayed, and that, I think, is a successful model that we need to pay a lot more attention to in terms of success for Black people here, there, and everywhere. And that, in fact, the irony, I think, of the critique is that the womanist theory that we were building came out of part of a tradition and an example that you set through the Black Panther Party, which was in your run for mayor of Oakland, that it was not necessarily about winning the office. It was about raising the issues. It was about using the platform, and it was about using that platform for collective leadership. And it was the possibility for that came out of collective movement. And that we need to recapture that we have, I think, placed a lot of stock in individuals to lead us, because we now have perhaps some opportunity to run for offices that we didn't before. And if we place our eggs in that basket, it's going to very quickly lead us to individualized success and group failure and collective failure. And likewise, when we have individuals who we have collectively come behind to support because they are Black and our assumption is they're going to hold our interests, then we better collectively hold their feet to the fire and ensure that that happens, because if we don't, they will, again, trumpet individualized leadership that does not have a collective base.
I want to say something to that because, you know, I don't want people to be defensive. We're having a critical discussion about what we're going to do for our people. So let me just say this, though. I cannot tell you how many times I have gone to the Blacks in the legislature of the state of California and begged them. And I can tell you all the ones that I know personally, and the Black Congressional Caucus, and they have not raised their voice about mass Black incarceration in this state, and they have done nothing to go into these prisons and say these men and women being the rising number of people being incarcerated, to get them out. This is an overcrowded state. Arnold Schwarzenegger has not been criticized by one Negro in this state who has sat there and said, I'm going to let these people out of the prison. Felton Henderson gives an order. I'm going to let these people. There has been no use of that. As far as I'm concerned, the Congressional Black Caucus needs to disband because they have done absolutely nothing in the last 30-some years of their existence.
We need to demand they do it.
Well, my point is exactly that. But what I was saying to you, and I'm not criticizing your extreme concern and commitment to the ideas and the agenda. I just think that there was a factual disconnection that I had because I know what kind of work people are doing here in California because I have one, for example, brother here been in prison for 40 years from the Black Panther Party. And I have begged any number of people to write a letter to the parole board and say, don't you think 40 years is enough? You don't have to endorse him. You don't have to like him. You don't have to worry about your little political career. But can you just say 40 years is enough? I don't have one letter from a black. I've got one from Bill Monning. I've got one from Lonnie Hancock. But I don't have any blacks. So I was speaking to that without trying to be too, bring too much animus to this because I'm not questioning your intentions. I'm just saying that when we have people who are in positions to do things, yes, we do need to hold their feet to the fire, and we do need to say, you got here on the blood. You know, Karen Bass was a part of something called the Sunday Morning Group, which was run by my daughter's father, Masai Hewitt, which you didn't mention, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. I know about the blood that brought people into office, and so I was speaking to that larger issue, and I don't want you to feel in any way defensive or feel that I was in any way I don't want to be, because I think we have to be able to argue with non-antagonism and with a real interest in the larger picture. So I hope that I wasn't offensive in any way.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
The bells are tolling. That means it is 15 minutes past when I was supposed to end. Now, can I take any more?
My question is for Ms. Brown, and my question is really, how do we get back to a single black community? Because class disparities have created several black communities aligned along desperate issues and alignment. So how do we get back to that? And I'm especially beginning to get jaded because I am in higher education, and my research and ideas, I don't want to be, circled around in rooms with wood beams and multi-million-dollar media systems. Like, how does it get back to the community? And Robert Millar says the most impacted must get to the table, but what do I do after I get to the table? And it's not that I'm asking what to do, it's just like, what direction can you give young people who are getting degrees for the future?
Well, I think you have to see your interests tied to the interests of others. In other words, even though Danny Bakewell is the owner of a paper, he hasn't lost touch with the community. He has a paper, You could become a doctor. Nobody's trying to say you don't. Matter of fact, we're hoping that you're going to become a doctor. But we're hoping that you'll become a doctor. Fidel Castro has been offering people to come to Cuba for years and get free medical, go to school for free if you just go back and serve the black community in America. Hello? And I've seen plenty of young people like, I don't want to go there, electricity's not working, and this not working, and all kinds of stuff. But you want to pay $200,000 to go to Hoobie Boo Medical School. You don't even want to go to Howard or Meharry anymore. You know what I mean? Because that's like you've gotten access to, the three black people graduated from UCLA Medical School in the 60s. So what I'm just saying is, if you really want to do these things, if it's just a job you want, then that's something else. But if you want to be something that's important, and be a nurse or be a doctor. We had a lot of trouble finding black medical professionals that would come on Central Avenue to our free clinic when we had a free clinic down here, and we were letting people come in all the time. We had a lot of people say, why do you have so many white lawyers? Well, hello, the Charles Houston Law Club wouldn't send one lawyer to come and help us with some free legal defense for the community, not for the Black Panther Party, for the community. So there are things you can do. I've been on this campus a million times and said, you want to do something right now? Get out here and feed some children. There's a whole lot of food on this campus being thrown away. That's what we did. People are like, well, how do I do it? What do I do? I don't know. Just go and figure some stuff out. You're smart. You're in college. What you don't have any analytical power? Go up there and get some food and take it down here to the hood. People are hungry. Then you have a bond with them. You want to talk about a bond with prisoners? Get some of all this transport. How much transportation is on this campus right now that's idle? Ooh, get a bus. Take it up there to San Quentin and help some of these people that can't get to see their loved ones in the last 10 years to see somebody and bring this community back. There are a million things, as Danny Bakewell points out. If you wanted to do the Soul Train piece, if you wanted to do the entrepreneurial piece, but bring some money back into the community, you know, so that we can all participate. If you don't want these kids to dance this way, put up a dance show for them to dance another way, you know.